Chapter 5, 1 to 7.
Pages 812, 813.
A song about a vineyard. The Lord said, I will sing a song about my friend's vineyard that was on the side of a fertile hill. My friend dug the ground, removed the stones, and planted the best vines. He built a watchtower and a dug pit in a rocky ground for pressing the grapes. He hoped they would be sweet, but bitter grapes were all it produced. Listen, people of Jerusalem and of Judah, you be the judge of me and my vineyard. What more could I have done for my vineyard? I hoped for sweet grapes, but bitter grapes were all that grew.
Now I will let you know what am I going to do. I will cut down the hedge and tear down the wall. My vineyard will be trampled and left in ruins. It will turn into a desert, neither pruned nor hoed. It will be covered with thorns and briars. I will command the clouds not to send rain. I am the Lord all-powerful. Israel is the vineyard, and Judah is the garden I tended with care. I had hoped for honesty and for justice, but dishonesty and cries for mercy were all I found.
I realize that some people in our culture have a difficult time understanding metaphor. This is not a Greek way of doing things. We want it concrete. We want to have it. If you're talking about a vineyard, then you should talk about a vineyard. Yeah. I can be very boring to people under the age of 15. Yeah. Anyway, in Jewish writing, they use all these metaphors. And in this writing by Isaiah, he's talking about the one who plants the vineyard. And of course, this is God. And the vineyard itself is the people of Israel, Judah, and those areas. And so God does everything that is possible. Takes out all the rocks, tills the soil, brings the rain. It's wonderful. It's perfect. And then what happens? Bitter grapes are the result. And you say to yourself, well, how can you have bitter grapes if you're doing everything you're supposed to? It's the whole notion of a covenant. God has blessed the people, but the people have not blessed God. And so often we hear these stories, especially in the Old Testament, where God has asked people to act in certain ways. We know about the 10 Commandments. We probably have them all memorized. But there are a lot of other laws they were supposed to listen to and obey. And a lot of them had to do with justice and sharing and being nice to people and looking out for your neighbor and things like that. And so they got a real attitude problem. What they thought is, well, we have God. God's all-powerful. God's going to protect us. We'll have nothing but beautiful crops, and all we have to do is just kick back and do nothing. And guess what? It doesn't work that way, does it? A covenant is a two-way stream. You have an agreement between two different parties. In this case, it was God and the people. And God said, you are my people, and I will do these things for you. But I also expect you to act in certain ways that are just, humane, show mercy to other people. And they thought, well, that's no fun. So they thought, oh, well, nothing could ever happen to us. We have this powerful God, and we'll just kick back and do whatever we want to do. And were they shocked? They had a real awakening, didn't they? Because both Israel and the lower part of the country that was eventually known as Judah were invaded, and they lost their land. And they had these powerful invaders that took over, and they literally were not an independent country anymore. And I see that the case with covenant agreements, that when two parties get together, whether it's the shaking of hands or a written agreement, one party often does not see that they have obligations toward the other, even if the one party is the stronger of the two. And let me think of a good example. 1970. That's when the feminist movement really began. And one of the things that happened during that time is that, especially here in California, the rents and the mortgages started really, really going up. If any of you got a home before 1970, bless you. Because if you try to buy property now, it's very, very expensive. And a long time ago, families had it really made. A man could go out and go to work. His wife would be able to stay home if they had children. That would be her job, and everything was just fine. And he would do his work, and she would do her work. Except something happened. It's called the property values went up. The only people that were happy probably were the real estate people, because they get 6% every time they sell a house, right? All right, so what happened? The real estate went up, and it took more than one income to support a home. And nowadays, it takes more than one income to support an apartment. Any of you looked how expensive apartments are around here? I mean, even where I teach in Baldwin Park, a 2-bedroom apartment near my school goes for about $1,500 a month. And a lot of these folks are making just around minimum wage. So what do they have to do? They have to have 2 and 3 jobs in order to put a roof over their head. And this is where the resentment came in. Around the year 1970, when the property values were going up, it took both 2 people to support a roof over the head. So women had to go to work. They didn't have a choice if they wanted a place to live. So they went to work, men went to work, women went to work, both went to work, and then they came home. And the guy said, I remember my dad. He used to come home, get a beer, kick back on the chair, watch TV, and let the little woman do all that work. Well, you know, when you've had 8 hours in the job, you really don't like that, do you? And you're thinking if both people are going out, both people should share the work at home. But it didn't always work out that way, did it? Have you known women? And I've known men who've done it too, so I'm not just trying to be all pro-female. That they come home, they've had 8 hours of work, they come home, they do all the cooking, all the cleaning, taking care of the kids, bathing them, helping them with their homework, and then by the time they get home, they are exhausted. And I know men that do the same thing, that they're the ones that do most of the work. And the woman thinks that she's a princess, and she can just, you know, she's had her busy day, so she can just kick back and do nothing. It doesn't work that way, does it? If you want a happy relationship, it has to be a covenant. And a covenant is agreement between 2 parties where they both have responsibilities toward each other. It's not just one person doing all the work and another person reaping all the benefits. It just doesn't work. It causes resentment. And you see this happening in early Israel when God blessed those people, blessed them with land of their own, blessed them with rain, to sell this stuff. And that neighbor over there that's starving, well, you know, that's his problem. He's probably lazy anyway. So I don't have to bother with him. Well, that is not exactly the way God wanted it. And so there were repercussions. It was kind of like a divorce, wasn't it? Isn't that true? It was kind of like a divorce. Because God said, look, we've had this agreement and you've just reneged on everything. So you know what? I'm just going to say, forget you folks, and you're on your own now. I also want to think of a covenant that you have between parents and children. You know, any of you have ever been parents? You're a child who has parents, so you've all understood what it's all about. What do you do when you have a child that is really, really special needs? I had a student a while back who was born perfectly normal, nothing wrong with her, and she contacted encephalitis. Does anyone know how serious encephalitis is? A lot of people don't even make it. She was 2.5 years old when she got encephalitis. And this cute little girl who was running around having a wonderful time, being just a joy, became totally bedridden, wheelchair bound, and now having to have her nutrition through a G-tube. Fortunately, her parents understood the notion of covenant. They realized that this was their child. It was their responsibility, not mom's responsibility, not dad's responsibility, but both of their responsibility to care for this very, very needy child. And they would actually work in shifts. And luckily, they have a program called Regional Center here in California, where they got some nursing help while the parents could go out and do some work and then come back and take care of the child. But for the rest of the day, once they were home from work, it was their responsibility. So mom and dad both cared for this sweet little girl. And I had her all up until the age of 20. I had her from the time she was 15 until the time she was 20. And that child was so blessed. When mom and dad came for her yearly meeting, I asked them, how did you do it? And they told me that their strength comes from God, and that they felt that God gave them the courage and the strength and the love to take care of her. And they both had their responsibilities, and they shared them. And this child was truly blessed. This is when covenant works out. This is when you don't have resentments. This is when you feel that everyone is doing their fair share. And I think it's more a case of fair share. No one wants to feel that they're getting the short end of the stick, do they? You don't like that. You have resentment toward the other person. In a case like that, it really works. Going back to Isaiah, which is our scripture reading today, we have God as the one who plants the vineyard. God has planted the vineyard for all of us. God has tended this beautiful earth for all of us. What do we do in return? Do we take care of it? Do we see that if there's litter, we pick it up? Even if we weren't the one who threw it up down on the ground or in the water. We are to treasure what God has given to us. And then God will bless us. And we have been in so many cases, haven't we? One thing we have right here today, we have each other. We care about each other. We are part of a big covenant with our Creator. And when we follow what God has chosen for us to do, and we listen to that call, there will be blessing upon blessing upon blessing. Amen.